Another week, another ranking video. It is Friday, so let's go over the top 25 college basketball teams. Starting with honorable mentions, I have 3 undefeated teams from the Big 12, my favorite conference. I get to talk about Cincinnati for the first time all year. I don't like them, they're rivals in football and basketball, but they're good once again. They shoot a lot of threes and were taken into overtime by Howard on a three-pointer. They still won, as they're a good rebounding team who brought in size with the transfer Aziz Bandaogo. BYU's a team I almost ranked a couple of weeks ago when they beat San Diego State. Their bench outplayed the Aztecs that game pretty bad, and now Robinson is still lighting it up with the second unit. They gave NC State their first loss this past weekend and have a pretty good non-conference resume thus far. Once again, an honorable mention is TCU. They moved to 6-0 after beating down Houston Christian. Senior Emmanuel Miller led the charge as the team scored 101 points. They have a tough Georgetown coming up and could be ranked as soon as next week. Dropping out is 24 Iowa State after suffering back-to-back losses against Virginia Tech and Texas A&M. Also dropping out is 25 USC. They lost a real close and real good game to Oklahoma. Now in my top 25, Alabama. They are my biggest dropper after this stretch of games playing football schools. They lost a winnable game against Ohio State due to a trash second half defensively. Mark Sears went off to beat Oregon, but then they lost to Clemson. I'm not saying Clemson is bad, but Alabama started this year as one of the best shooting teams, and just like that, they're done. So many good players, Nick Pringle off the bench, and they still can't win. Memphis lost their only game since last week's video, so they moved down barely in my rankings. It was in the tournament championship against Villanova, and they were losing real bad. They were just exhausted, but I'm ready to see David Jones' squad play again. Following a loss to Bryant, Florida Atlantic has turned up. They beat a top 10 Texas A&M, a sleeper in the ACC Virginia Tech, and a previously unbeaten Liberty. Elijah Martin is 100% and playing like a top 10 player in college basketball. He is automatic. The big man Gordon has been real good as well. The entire team is just so good defensively, and this is why I said last week they remind me of Houston from a season ago. They have depth, shoot decent, and play remarkable team defense. I put Miami into my top 20 before the AP ranks them 8, and they get mauled by Kentucky. They simply couldn't hang and couldn't hit this time. They showed last March they can shoot well against good defenders and even being contested, so I'm sure this was just an off game. Yet, I'm going to say it again. Miami can't hang. I debated myself for a minute whether or not I should lower UCLA for beating UC Riverside on a last-second shot, but I'll hold true to my belief that teams shouldn't go down if they didn't lose. Dylan Andrews was the hero. The two bigs really didn't get to do anything, so it's a very good thing Andrews came in clutch. Illinois moves to 6-1 after beating Western Illinois. Shannon had 19 and obviously led them in scoring. However, they weren't totally abysmal from 3, making 10 of them, and Shannon got some help for once. Hopefully for the Illini, they can keep this up. Indiana is still in my top 20 after a win over Harvard. Once again, Kel'el Ware shows why Oregon should have kept him. He scored 28 and was the only one who looked great for Indiana. Sure, Mbako added 18, but Indiana needs to build more of an outside presence. Then, they could be a top team in the Big Ten. The Blue Jays beat Oklahoma State to go 6-1. Kalkbrenner and Alexander looked more like the best duo in college basketball, or in the Big East at least. It was a good win on the road, and Baylor Shireman had 21 points even. Creighton has Nebraska up next, who's undefeated interestingly. The Wildcats dropped in my rankings after I just brought them back. This time, they lost to St. Joseph's. They had 17 turnovers and couldn't guard for anything. Their players looked slow. Last time, I complimented them for playing big, but they have to be quicker. I was so ready to push them into my top 10 too, after they destroyed Memphis SMH. Texas A&M should not have lost to FAU. I honestly don't know how they lost. I talked good about Wade Taylor last week, and he dropped 35 points on the Owls. Yet, their defense was awful. Losing a shootout is never easy, and they really would have won if Henry Coleman didn't get hurt. They beat Iowa State, who's good, but lost to Virginia, shooting 30% from the field. Now that was just an off game, and Texas A&M is still so good. The atmosphere of this game was crazy, and Arkansas delivered. It was close to the first half, but Arkansas was able to pull away in the second half in a real impressive win over Duke. Trayvon Brazile scored 19, and senior guard Khalif Battle scored exactly 21 for a fourth straight time off the bench this year. The defense as a team was exceptional. They finally got out of their slump and are playing up to their potential. Gonzaga beat Bakersfield coming off back-to-back wins. Ryan Nembhard got to lead the team scoring with 22 points. As I said last video, he's getting comfortable with the team and he just had his best game. Watson had a double-double and stars played heavy minutes as they're getting ready for USC this Saturday night. Texas won twice this week and Max Abmas is playing like the player of the year candidate everyone said he'd be in the offseason. 49 points across 2 games, and he's not taking anything away from Hunter either. Mitchell and Shedrick have been knocking down the paint as well, each getting double-doubles and combining for 7 blocks against Texas State. LJ Crowder has heated up after dropping 5 threes against Montana. With everyone playing at the level they are, Houston's looking better and better. You have multiple guards who can drop 20 points easily, so there's no concerns in scoring really, and the defense is locked down, especially with Jamon Roberts at the helm. The Vols lost to UNC in a really high-paced game. I would say there's no shame there, but it was a blowout before they brought it down to 8, which is how much they lost by. Dalton connected everything he could, scoring 37, but Vescovi was tame, not scoring at all. Either way, Tennessee took too long to get going and had to fix their defense and not foul so much, because like I said in last week's video, they only contested Kansas because those refs let them play tough. These refs did not let anything slide, and I applaud them. Baylor moves into my top 10, switching places with Tennessee. They're better coached in my opinion, and I don't think it's as close as others make it seem. They played Nicholls State this week and let the bench score like half of their points. Langston Love was fairly exciting, and they're in my top 10 for now. Michigan State stays at 9. How no one else has them ranked is absurd. They're finally playing better as a team. Trey Holloman is starting and got 10 of the Spartans' 23 overall assists against Georgia Southern. While their opponent is winless, I think the game did little to improve their chemistry, which is still very bad. What a week UNC has had. They started the week by beating Arkansas in the Bahamas. RJ Davis had 30. That game was back and forth a little, but the Tar Heels ran away in the end. They ended up running all the way home where they beat Tennessee. The big three of England, Baycott, and Davis all scored 20 plus. Not to mention, Elliot Cadeau started now. They listened to my video. He had 10 assists himself and was the missing piece in the starting lineup. Duke is still up here at 7 despite losing to Arkansas. It felt like Cal Filipowski took a bunch of shots this game. Jeremy Roach was the only other player to score more than 20, but that's kind of just what he does. He isn't really hyped like other players, but he gets a ton of layups that just add up over time, kind of like Jaylen Brown. As a team, Duke shot under 30% from 3 in 22 attempts, which is horrendous. They got to the line for 31 free throws, but it wasn't enough when Arkansas still made more than them. Arizona didn't play any games this week, so they're staying at number 6. Do y'all think Kentucky's a top 5 team now? For the second straight week, they're in my top 5 after they blew out Miami 95-73. They held Nigel Pack to 2 points and showed they're a much better team, even out shooting them, which is hard to do. The freshman duo Shepard and Dillingham did their thing off the bench like they always do. Their consistency really needs to be recognized because they deliver every game. With so many great players, you will really have to think outside the box to beat the Wildcats. And Aaron Bradshaw is returning. Yes, sir. Kansas played Eastern Illinois for an easy win. It was pretty close in the second half, but there was no way they were going to lose. Hunter Dickinson had 25 points and 13 rebounds, continuing his college legacy. McCullough is looking like he'll be the second star of the team. Harris had 9 assists rather than Jackson, who's still getting used to the team. I think he's fine as a starter. He doesn't need to come off the bench. All it took was the 3 made threes to win 2, but Kansas plays a top 3 team tonight. Look out for that. Marquette stays at 3 after beating Southern. It was more of a Tyler Kolek and Cam Jones game, and that's fine. I would like to see them shoot better, but they haven't really shot well any game this year. I'm not a big fan of the team, but they did beat Kansas, so I have to put them higher. Purdue's had an easy week as they beat down on winless Texas Southern. They held the Tigers starters to 15 points, which is crazy. Everyone from Purdue got a chance as Purdue is really talented. I still don't think they're the best team though. I have to see them against a team with multiple good defenders like Kansas, like UConn, like Houston even. Question for the chat. Who is the best college basketball team? Let me know. Staying at number 1 is UConn. Tristan Newton got a triple-double, which is always real cool, and Donovan Clingan has been dominating. 29 points against New Hampshire. He's so ready for the NBA. Really? The entire team is. Spencer has also been scoring well every game. Is it a surprise that the defending champions are the best team? Nah, because UConn is on their way to going back-to-back. That's the bottom line. See you next week.